So recently I discovered the app Imprints, and I'm not sponsored by them, so I fucking wish. That'd be cool if we had a sponsorship. Uh, First person I'd get sponsored by is Ghost. Please sponsor us. But it's so cool because you know how difficult it is to read books all the time and consistently do it.
Mm-hmm.
This app will literally show you visuals and go through different chapters with you. It doesn't show you the whole book, but it gets to like the points of like uh, what are necessary and important topics, and it will go over it, and it's super easy to learn. Like these are 2 minute chapters. You can go through 2 chapters a day. It takes 5 minutes of your time, and you're learning shit. $100 a year, and to be honest, that is so worth it because how much is a book? Like it can be like $10 to $20.
Mm-hmm.
You're spending $5 a year, definitely worth it. Like I probably buy more than that, so it's pretty awesome. Um, super way, Super easy way of learning. Um, right now, it has me going through like a communication course. I've had to talk to people, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still reading the Jordan Peterson 12 Rules to Life right now?
Fuck no, bro. I haven't even finished the forward still. I have a hard time reading consistently. I think a lot of it is like I can't find books I enjoy very often. I think I'd be better if I try to listen to the audiobook a little bit, but even then I kind of like space out sometimes with a lot of stuff. I just don't know. It's not very digestible. It's too dense for me personally. I feel like I need like the fucking dummy version that uses uh easier vocabulary words and stuff. Shit I can understand a little bit better.
Yeah, well, it's Jordan Peterson, so you're not going to be able to digest everything Jordan Peterson says, even with his videos.
Yeah.
Like, you just take as you go with it. And with the chapter, like, he's going to go over specific points. It's just that he goes into deep stuff with those points. So
Yeah.
you're going to be able to grasp, I think, the most of it if you're listening to the audiobook. But
Well, I'm sure there's like a fucking YouTube version of that breaks down the 12 steps. It's like a fucking 15-minute video, so I don't even have to read the whole book. I enjoyed like the subtle art of not giving a fuck, that book, a
yeah,
little bit better because it uses a lot lower language, so it's easier for me to understand.
well, I think Jordan Peterson's people that he wants to read it are smart, educated people, and that's who he's trying to reach out to. But um, just listen to the audiobook, dude. Like, you're not going to get everything. It's Jordan Peterson. It's going to be hard to digest. But
Yeah.
for the most part, I like it because he does go into deep conversation and you can grasp initially what is going on. And like you said, you can always reread it.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been filling my free time with a lot of other stupid shit recently. Like comedy podcast and Netflix mostly. And I've been trying to get back in the gym. I probably need to be a little bit more productive with my free time, but I'm busy like 60 hours a week right now, so it's like really hard for me to want to do anything that involves learning or self-help when I'm already so busy, you know?
Oh, yeah, I get it, dude.
'Cause
I'm the same way.
I'm just like mentally exhausted. I'm like, dude, I just need to veg out for a little bit. Like, I don't feel like trying to grow anymore today. I'm fucking tired. Like, I need a little bit of TLC.
Yeah, I get it. I know exactly what you mean. You sometimes need space and been doing a lot, but
Well, that's why I want to
I've still been
fucking.
trying to get back into it and do stuff like I just told you earlier. I haven't been going to the gym nearly consistently enough as I want to go to the gym. Rocky, no, not doing that.
Yeah, I really need to get myself out of outpatient rehab so I have more free time and I can be more productive in other ways. I think the gym is going to be a good help with helping with my energy levels here coming up once I start to get some consistency. But yeah, at the moment I am fucking tired. I've been averaging like 4 hours of sleep the past couple nights in a row.
4 hours of sleep.
Yeah, maybe less than, I don't know. I haven't
Yeah.
been sleeping very good.
I woke up at 6 today, and I almost got out of bed. I totally could have, and I feel like a total piece of shit for not. Which I only would have got 6 hours of sleep, but I know I could have got out of bed and just done it. I really should have just done it.
I woke up before my alarm today, which was weird, and I just forced myself to get out of bed.
Maybe I'll reread Jocko Willing's book, Discipline Equals Freedom. Because there's some truth behind that, bro. Like, the more disciplined you are, the more freedom you do have.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm slowly starting to become a more consistent person, and my willpower has increased a lot. Like a couple months ago, I would not have been able to get out of bed as tired as I've been. I would have fucking just like talked myself into making excuses and not going to the gym and sleeping in. But today I made myself, like last night I had a conversation with myself and I was like, I'm not going to work out tomorrow.
Right.
I'm not going to go to the podcast. I'm just going to tell them like, oh, I don't feel good and fucking just stay in bed and catch up on my rest. But then I woke up this morning before my alarm and I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to do this. It's going to suck, but I'm just going to fucking trudge through it and I'll feel better for doing it than not. And I need to. It's important right now.
I hear on you. Yeah, well, no one tells you that about being consistent, too. You're not going to wake up every day and want to do it. You're going to wake up lower energy, and sometimes you're going to have good energy, maybe even lower energy than the time that you already had low energy.
Yeah.
It's just that you got to do it and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. And over time, it's not going to get easier, but being consistent is going to help you stay up and keep doing it.
Well, I think eventually it'll get easier. Like, I'll eventually get more rest once I get used to the routine and stuff, and I'll feel better for doing it. And obviously, the results will eventually start to show, but I'm still in the infant phase of this whole process, so it takes a little bit more energy than if I had already been consistent and had a routine for a while now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll definitely get easier. I just fucking need to keep showing up.
I think you'll get momentum and motivation in doing it, but that's not going to keep pushing you to stay consistent forever, so it's hard to rely on it. And that's what I have a problem doing. I start seeing results in the gym, I start relying on that, and then as soon as I stop seeing results, I'm like, shit, like
You start backing off, but yeah, then
Yeah.
you gotta reinvent your plan. Just start implementing new stuff. If you start to plateau, you can't do the same thing over and over again and expect different results.
yeah, well, no one's going to even see results right away
Yeah,
in the gym.
that's true.
It just doesn't make any sense. Like,
I don't even have a workout routine right now. I'm like, my first goal is just to get myself to start consistently showing up. Like, that's my first goal. And then eventually I'd like to get more of a consistent routine and start slowly making my routine more and more advanced, the more conditioned I get. But I'm not even there yet,
yeah, it's so weird how the mind and body are correlated. Like, if the brain is such an oxygen needing organ, like if you work out your body, obviously your brain is going to get better, and if you're studying and learning stuff, I think your body is going to show that too. So
Yeah. You start to become more sharp and stuff.
yeah,
I definitely I need to discipline myself in both ways, both mentally and physically. I'm not doing a lot at the moment to mentally discipline myself, but I think
I'm not either. I need to get back to it.
physically I'm starting to, which I would almost argue that physical training is more important than intellectual training, because it's hard to like be able to intellectually train well without having a healthy body.
Yeah, it's true. I think I've been keeping up more with studying intellectually than I have been with physical training. I've just been so sluggish lately. Like I said, I haven't had motivation to do anything, and that's where discipline comes in. It's a lot easier to stay at home and read for me than it is to go out and actually go to the gym.
Well, yeah. And I mean, you go through phases where things are more or less enjoyable. I'm sure you're enjoying reading more at the moment than you are working out,
Yeah.
I had the longest, like, I used to fucking love working out, and I would just do it for fun. If I was bored And then at some point in my life, for whatever reason, I don't really know what changed. It just wasn't enjoyable anymore. So I stopped going, but that was a huge mistake. I mean, like, sometimes you got to do shit even if you don't enjoy it. And I mean, eventually maybe the joy will come back towards that thing, but stuff isn't going to be fun all the time. And
No, it's not.
yeah. I, for the most part, enjoyed these past couple of days working out. Yesterday, I felt amazing after I worked out, and then I was like, oh shit, this is going to be really good for my mental health. I don't know why I haven't been doing this. Today, it didn't feel like that so much because I got really bad sleep last night, and I almost threw up at the gym. I hit legs today, which for whatever reason, like, legs always makes me the most nauseous. I think it's because you use the most muscles,
Mm-hmm.
and especially high volume leg training, because it gets your heart rate so high. And I just had way too much caffeine, and I didn't sleep very well, and I haven't been eating amazing. So like that combination of things, like I had to step outside at one point and like try not to throw up. It took me like 30 minutes to stop feeling nauseous, and I got really flushed. I felt so shitty, bro. I was like so
Yeah,
embarrassed.
that's how you know you had to go work out though.
Yeah.
No reason you feel embarrassed, bro. Like fuck, man. You're working and it's showing.
I did like 5 exercises, and I mean, I was there for an hour, so like, but compared to how well I used to be conditioned, I'm so far behind where I used to be, which is,
A cat hair on you huh? From Marvin Elizabeth.
yeah, I was cuddling with the cats before I came here. But I don't know. Eventually, I'll get back to where I used to be, and then hopefully I'll even get past that, but it's just going to take time.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's where I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get back at it. But with these with the Imprints app, I'm gonna put you on some shit. So, How to Talk to Anyone. It's a book that it goes off of. Oh, what is that one old book? It's talking to people and influencing others.
I don't know. I've never heard of the
Never
title
heard of that one?
No.
I probably butchered the fuck out of the title. But it's How to Talk to Anyone is an update of that book. It was made in 1930, and I believe How to Talk to Anyone was made in the 1990s. So it's an update of talking to people and tips and tricks of surroundings and get closer. So
Yeah.
it starts off by saying, the more mundane the conversation, the better.
Interesting.
Yeah, so the more boring, right? Well, what does everyone talk about when they first have a conversation? Like, you give an example of small talk.
I mean, I don't know. The fucking weather. A lot of the time people talk about, or
Perfect example, the weather.
what they ate for lunch.
Everyone has the weather. So it makes people more comfortable.
Yeah.
So if I'm talking to you about the weather, it's like, oh man, it's so fucking weird how it just got cold and it was so hot outside recently, right?
Yeah.
The weather just keeps teasing us for fucking hot weather and then it gets cold again.
Yeah.
Everyone can relate to that
Mm-hmm.
because they're experiencing it. So yeah, the more mundane, the better, because it puts that person at ease knowing that like, oh, we have something in common.
Yeah.
Sticky eyes was the next thing, was like always focusing on the person ahead of you, and like even like when it makes it more intimate. So even when you're about to look away, like show that you're fully focused on them, like you're like almost still looking at them and you're turning your head away. So sticky eyes, acting like your eyes are glued to that person, which I had a hard time. Like I used to always be like so like intimate and look at people in the eyes, but then people would a couple people would say like, oh, you're like, it's making me feel uncomfortable, and it kind of put me off from looking at people.
I've always struggled with eye contact. Like, there's been a couple times people have commented that I don't make eye contact very well, and they almost think it's rude, like I'm ignoring them. But for some reason, if I make eye contact for too long, a lot of the time, I start to feel uncomfortable. Like it almost feels confrontational. And
It feels intimate, right? Well, that's
yeah,
the point of looking at people, though. It is supposed to feel intimate. It might be uncomfortable, yeah.
yeah, I mean, I guess it also kind of depends on the expression on your face while you're making eye contact. But especially like if I'm having a bad day at work, I make way less eye contact with my guest as a server because like I don't want them to see that I'm unhappy. So I just try to like mitigate showing them my facial expressions.
Well, that's fine,
Because
dude.
I wear my emotions on my face because I'm like, yeah, I'm not very happy right now, and I don't want you to recognize that because I'm trying to create a comfortable, enjoyable atmosphere for you at the moment.
I think showing that you're like more stoic, not having emotion is perfectly fine too.
Yeah.
It allows the other person to really show you them also, because they're not seeing that you're reacting to anything they're saying, so they're just gonna keep talking. Like when you start making faces and stuff, I think it puts other people off.
It depends on your audience. Like some fucking people want to talk to you more and to get a little bit more personal, and some people like, at least from the perspective of a server, like they just want to enjoy their meal and they're not very interested
Yeah.
in your life. So it's almost like they want you to do your best to like make it feel like you're not even there.
Yeah.
So you got to get good at reading people to some extent, and I think I'm fairly decent at that. I do better with the people that like want me to pretend like I'm not there. It's a little bit easier for me.
Right. You're
Men-
comfortable with being
yeah,
quiet
but
and
like
stuff.
if people want me to be engaged with them in conversation and stuff, that's a little bit harder. I have a harder time relating to strangers sometimes, especially if they ask me like intimate personal details about like my education and what I want to do with my life. I'm like, oh shit, like you want to hear my story right now? Like,
I'll give you some tricks, bro. I just
yeah,
learned about that stuff, so we'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, it is definitely part of reading. Not everyone wants to have a talk, and I can relate to that with barbering, because there are people that will just go in your chair, want a haircut. They'll literally close their eyes, like they're just trying to relax and have a good time.
yeah,
Limit fidgeting. And how to do that is imagining that person as an old friend. So you could do that with when you're waiting people and they want to have a conversation, is imagining that person that you're talking to as you've known them forever. And that is going to limit the fidgeting, scratching your face, doing this. On average, if you fidget less, people trust you more.
yeah. I'm a pretty fidgety person because I'm real anxious, but
I am too, but I've been practicing it, and it honestly, see, I think fidgeting would make me calmer. But I've honestly feel a lot calmer trying to focus on the other person and then just staying still.
yeah, it makes me more comfortable. But I think when other people see you fidget, it makes them anxious because they're like, why do you? Because they think you feel uncomfortable.
That makes sense, yeah. That
Yeah,
actually does make a lot of sense. I didn't think about it like that.
yeah,
Because you're focusing on yourself and how you're feeling. You're not focusing on the other person at the time.
yeah,
So, less fidgeting by focusing on that person as an old friend. And then emoting. So if someone shows that they're upset or confused, you can just talk to them and say, oh, what I said is making you feel upset or confused, because they're expressing that on their face or whatever. And then they can talk to you about why they're feeling that way, and that's also going to make that person more comfortable.
It's confusing to me. You mean you confront them about their emotes
Yeah.
instead? Okay, I almost interpreted that as you should show more expression when communicating with someone based on their feelings, but I'm sure that probably goes both ways a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure it does go both ways. I try to keep a stoic face when I do it, but
Yeah,
if it's something I do need to react to when it's like funny or something,
yeah,
I'll do that. But seeing if the other person is confused or angry, and yeah, I'm gonna show emotions too. I'm gonna emote also, but reacting to that person doing that can keep the conversation going, momentum, and they can put in their input, and it shows trust too, I think.
yeah. It kind of diffuses confrontation too because
Yeah,
you're coming to an understanding of how both parties feel rather than just guessing.
right.
But that's something that I've struggled with recently. That's got me in trouble at work because, like, I've had a little bit of a bad attitude for a number of different reasons recently.
Are you to share that, or do you want me to take that off?
No, I mean, it's fine. I'm not going to go into too much detail to where I could get myself in trouble. But basically, like, I've had a hard time at work for a variety of different reasons with being comfortable in my work atmosphere. And then, like, it's caused confrontation between me and management. And they confront me about it. And I don't, I've felt a lot of anger recently, which is not a normal emotion for me to feel. So it's been pretty uncomfortable. And I don't know how to handle it very well. And I don't want to be a dick and mouthy. So rather than like explaining to them why I'm upset and having the conversation, I avoid it, which makes the problem worse. And it's hard for me to calmly explain why I'm upset, because I'm like, I just feel like I'm gonna end up like cussing them out or going off on them. Like, it's hard to calmly explain and express my anger.
Well, that's a crucial conversation, and we'll get to that one too. Because I'm reading, I was in the Imprints app. We actually went over that book too. Crucial conversations when emotions are high and you're trying to figure out how to talk to someone.
I deal with most emotions very well, and I'm good at communicating, other than confrontation. When it comes to, like, if I even get a hint that things are going to result in violence or anger or, like, bad words towards each other, I just shut down and I run away.
Well, you don't have to react that way.
No,
Even if they react that way towards you,
I know, yeah.
you can limit it and get a way around it.
I think when people react that way to me, I'm more calm and I can keep my composure. But when I feel that way towards other people, it's hard for me to be calm and express myself appropriately.
So there's two types when in crucial conversations. There is so there's violence and then there's silence. There's those two types of people, and I think you lean more towards the silence part.
I do, but that's because I'm afraid for it to result in violence.
Yeah, yeah.
And recently I've been like feeling more violent, and so I just result in silence because I don't want it to go to a violent place.
And I'll show you how to get past that. But I think also most relationships are ruined from the silence and not from the actual talking. Like, I was watching Mr. and Mrs. Fox yesterday, and in the beginning, like, they have this perfect life, but they never talk to each other. He's always agreeing with her, and she's just like, "Oh, this is how things are gonna go." And there's this space of nothing left, and their relationship's falling apart. And then they figure out they're both agents, and then they fall in love with each other again because they're talking about everything.
Yeah.
So I think most relationships fall off from the silence and not from talking.
Yeah, bad communication is, or a lack of communication, I guess it's the same as bad communication. It doesn't make the relationship any better. It leaves a lot of room for interpretation, and that's not always good, because if people assume the worst, then they're not going to think very highly of you.
Yeah.
Which I think most people's mind automatically go towards the worst. Most people don't give others the benefit of the doubt.
Right, yeah. Yeah. And then details in the stories. This is the last one I have for how to talk to anyone. So going back to the mundane one, asking that person how they spend their time. And then they can tell you, "Oh, I do this with my job," or "I actually have this as a hobby." And then when they ask you, like, "Where is your hometown?" you can say, "Oh, I'm from Salina. I actually used to live on Parkwood, and I would walk to the quick shop off of Ohio Street, and we would go get movies. We actually got Gulliver's Travel from there, and that was one of our favorite movies all the time." And then adding those details in there can keep the momentum of the conversation.
Yeah.
And they can add more to that or wherever the conversation is going from there.
Mm-hmm.
So besides just saying, they call it a naked response. Besides just saying, "I'm from Salina," you add details about where you're from or add more details about your job.
Yeah.
The details are what matter. I'm working on that. I usually have a naked response. So I'm trying to work on the details because I'm trying to get my brain to fire faster. Some people automatically have that. Like comedians, Kill Tony, he's like that. Theo Vaughn, they just think of stuff on the spot that's funny as fuck. And you're like, how do they have their brain like that?
I'm not the type of person to mule over things or be careful with my words. I kind of have word vomit, and it gets me in trouble a lot of the time because I don't
That's
keep my thoughts to myself. So sometimes I say shit that's maybe rude without meaning to, but yeah, you need some sort of like healthy balance between the two. There's like people that word vomit, and then there's people that take way too long to come up with a response
yeah,
because they're over analyzing the conversation.
right.
They
Yeah,
don't, which means you're probably not very comfortable with somebody if you're thinking too hard about it.
yeah. I overanalyze it, I think, probably,
Yeah.
but also just not fast thinker. I do take my time. There's actually another app. Let's see if it's on my iPad right now, that I've been working on to get my synapses firing faster. Um, oh, Elevate, and that one's $40 a year, and it will show you how to be more articulate, read faster, even does math. I don't do the math one. Like, what the fuck do I need math for?
Yeah.
I have a calculator, and it's really just counting money on the business side
Mm.
and making sure everything is cash flow and all that shit. But so that's been cool to learn that. And then now the crucial conversations one, which I think this will really help us because even since we talk about politics a lot, I think emotions get high.
Yeah.
Even in real life, this happens, like you said, with your work. It's been happening with you.
Mm-hmm.
So the conversation that, when I think of a crucial conversation, I think of a conversation that needs to be had.
Yeah, it's important.
So they start off by saying a pool of shared meaning. So if there's Isaac, you, and me here, we all have this pool, and we're all putting meaning into it. None of us aren't. And how you do that is a pool of shared meaning is all the dialogue that we're talking about. And you want to enter the crucial conversation with a clear mind and remember that you all share the goal together.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess I feel like we've been trying to do that. Like we all kind of know that the shared goal of the conversation is to be entertaining, and we all understand what we're going to talk about. So I don't know if that's necessarily the issue. I think it's when there's misunderstandings or disagreements where things start to get a little bit heated.
Yeah. Being self aware, I think, is a problem too. So, like I said, there is two types of people. There is violence, which is controlling the conversation, or labeling, which is dismantling whatever that person is having to say,
Yeah.
or attacking that person. I think I'm more of a controlling person. I'm kind of a control freak.
Yeah.
So with me, it's like I try to push my thoughts. I think I'm getting better on it. I definitely listen to your side,
Mm.
but I do tend to force opinions that I think are right, which there is no right or wrong opinion. Sometimes I do think there are certain opinions I'm like, that's stupid, but
Yeah.
opinions are opinions.
Yeah, being calmer during disagreements is probably something we could all work on. I
Yeah,
struggle with being long-winded. It's hard for me to make a point quickly sometimes, and I tend to say the same thing over and over again without realizing it. But some things are complicated, and they do take a little bit more time to explain. And I think during that one podcast that we're not going to air, that's where a lot of issues arose, is
yeah.
like I don't think I was being heard or had the opportunity to explain myself. And
I thought you had the opportunity. You just decided not to.
well, I think I tried to, but then I kept getting cut off or
Keith, you do that to us too, though.
no,
You
I
cut
do.
us off
We all
also.
we all cut each other off. When I watched the podcast back, when I watched most of them, I think especially you and I, we kind of equally struggle with interrupting, but uh
I do that to you because you started doing it to me in the beginning. You talk over everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I just struggle with that in general. I need to work on listening, and I've been trying to practice it more. Isaac's a really good listener.
He's a good listener. I wish he put more input in.
Well, I think it's hard because we talk so much. We don't give him enough opportunity to talk or ask him as much what he thinks. I think he doesn't talk as much unless we ask him to or he's spoken to. He just listens.
Well, that's the thing about conversations. You just talk whenever you want to talk.
Yeah, that's
But
true. I just don't think he wants
there
to
is,
talk.
there is. I am happy that he's a good listener though too.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just his personality. So,
Yeah, which is a good thing. That's fine.
yeah, it is fine. Yeah.
I have a hard time listening. Like, a lot of the time, I'm just thinking about the next thing I'm going to say rather than actually trying to listen actively.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But listening is definitely something I need to work on. It's difficult.
I think I'm a pretty good listener, and I listen to both sides for sure. And I think you lean more towards the silence, and the silence people tend to mask avoidance or withdrawing. Masking is they use sarcasm or try to be funny to avoid it, or just avoidance in total, where they switch the conversation or just withdraw, where they shut up. Which I've seen you do that in the podcast that we're not going to air. You totally withdraw from the
Yeah, I did. I mean,
conversation.
if I feel uncomfortable, then I'm not willing to have the conversation anymore a lot of the time. But that's because I don't trust myself to react appropriately. I don't want to get fired up. So I'm just like, all right, well, I'm not willing to have this conversation anymore because I don't want to be a dick.
Well, this is what we can do to keep going.
Yeah.
Keep in mind mutual respect and purpose. If it is at risk, ask yourself, do they believe that I respect them? Do they believe I care about their goals and trust my own motives?
Yeah, I
And
think
so we can express that. We can say, I hear you, and that is showing respect. And then I can say my own motives, and then so we can show that we're on the same page. And if we don't come to an agreement, we just can respectfully disagree.
Yeah, well, which I think we're starting to get better at, and I think that's where, yeah, it's slowly getting better with time. I think that's where some of the disconnect came, is we didn't feel like we were respecting each other, and then I don't think we expressed enough what we were trying to get out of the conversation. Eventually we did, and then once we started to make that known, things started to calm down a little bit. But as soon as we started feeling those feelings, we probably should have mitigated that getting any worse by making that point known.
Yeah, we have to be more self-aware of what's going on with ourselves, not just of the situation, with ourselves too.
Well, yeah, I don't think we were talking very intentionally. We were just like, which is not all conversations have to be that intentional, but yeah, we just weren't very self-aware of why we were feeling the way we were feeling.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, in general, that's just a good thing, to be more self-aware of your emotions.
This is also our first podcast, and it's not going to be great in the beginning.
No, this is
So
this is probably low-key so fucking boring right now. But
I don't know. I find this stuff interesting, and
I find it interesting as
Yeah.
well, but I'm just like thinking of
it's just not the people that we're putting it out to if they think it's boring.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's like you have your own audience.
Yeah.
So
I think, well, the bigger our audience gets, I mean, if somebody doesn't like one, there'll be more material that they can go to eventually.
exactly.
You know what I'm
You
saying?
just go to the next
Because there'll be
YouTube
more
video.
variety. Just like, when some of your favorite podcast hosts, like, they don't always talk about a subject you're interested in, and then you just don't watch that episode. You wait till they air a new episode that is a topic that you're interested in. But yeah, I think if I had to guess based on our current audience, though, I don't know how well this is going to do, which I think is part of the reason that the sobriety one did a lot worse than I expected, because not as many people can relate to it. Because I think a lot of our audience at the moment is like a lot of our friends or Isaac's friends.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of our peers.
Yeah.
And if I had to guess, not a lot of our peers are into
Sobriety, right?
sobriety, or maybe even like intellectual self-help stuff at the moment.
Well, I want our audience to be like literally fucking grown men, and I want people to learn and and push that stuff. That's why I like talking about politics.
Yeah. I'm
And
sure it'll grow.
I
with
like
time.
talking about funny stuff. You're like that too. Like, I love fucking comedy. I don't watch comedy all the time though. It's just not what I watch. I like watching educational videos.
I'm normally pretty good at being like fucking snappy and witty in real life, but for whatever reason recently on the podcast, like I haven't been able to be as quick or thoughtful or silly. Like it's like I'm a lot more serious, which maybe that's just because of some of the topics we're talking about.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Eventually with time when I'm more comfortable and stuff, I'm sure it'll get better. A lot of the time though when I'm here, I'm just so fucking tired. Like I'm not really myself because I'm just drained. So it's harder for me to express more positive emotions because I'm still trying to get used to my routines that I've all recently just started.
I think that comes back to the withdrawing from the conversation too, why you're not so quick and witty. Because since you're not expressing how you're feeling in the conversation nor putting your input in.
Yeah, maybe. I think once Isaac starts working days, when we do more of an afternoon podcast, it'll probably be better because we'll all be a lot more fresh and stuff, more awake and aware. And I mean, even if the time stays the same, eventually I'll probably have more energy because I'll be getting better rest and stuff. But yeah, for whatever reason, I've been like fucking dead, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like physically and emotionally really tired recently. So I got a lot of shit going on.
Yeah, everybody does.
Yeah.
So if at risk, contrast partners potential concerns.
That's a really good point too.
Yeah.
I don't think we did that at all because we did share some of our motives, but I don't think we shared our concerns very well.
No, we didn't.
I think I started
What are your concerns with the conversation? And how to do that is by doing don't and do statements. So you can say, I don't think this is a you problem. I do want to talk about how to improve our relationship. Yeah. My goal is to make us both happy.
Yeah.
That's a do and don't statement.
Mm-hmm.
So it works with all kinds of relationships. So politics, whatever, you can say, I don't like this part, but I do agree with this. I do think we are on the same page, and these are my motives with it.
Yeah, I agree. Which, I mean, ultimately, those conversations are meant to be educational and productive and help us, hopefully get a better perspective on the world. So, I mean, our goal is to understand our frustrations with current events and hopefully try to come up with solutions which would make us all feel better and good the end of the day.
There's literally a fucking movie coming out right now that is talking about a civil war here in America. Have you seen the trailer?
Citizens of America.
Oh my god.
People
I gotta
of
show
the
you.
Florida Alliance. And the Western forces of Texas and California will be welcomed back to these United States as soon as their illegal secessionist government is deposed.
You don't know what side they're fighting for.
Someone's trying to kill us. We are trying to kill them.
Someone's trying to kill us.
A24 movies are always pretty good.
So good.
I think movies based on current events are always like the best because they're so like relatable.
Yeah. I don't know how much we can actually upload this without getting in trouble.
Yeah, I don't know either. But that seems like it would be pretty interesting though.
Yeah. And this could actually happen in America just because people don't want to fucking talk anymore. And that's scary. Like, the conversations need to be had. And
I think it comes back to a communication issue. Like, it's hard to talk because of all these recent sociology and like political anomalies that have been happening, like the fucking like cancel culture and the Me Too movement and like racial tensions. Like everybody's afraid to get canceled or get in trouble based on their own personal beliefs, because we attack people's character a lot of the time.
Yeah, and it's
based on their own personal opinions, which to some extent I think is fine. Like if you don't agree
No,
with somebody,
not at all.
you should be able to voice that you don't agree with them. But I don't think that you should stop them from communicating altogether. Like shutting down somebody's ability to communicate is never really a good thing.
no, that's not freedom of speech. And I would say it's fine to voice and say if you have a different opinion if they're doing it respectfully,
Yeah.
but that's not what they're doing.
No.
They're saying terrible stuff about people just because they don't agree with what they view the same politically. And it's like, that's not how this country works. You can't just say ignorant stuff about someone else because you don't agree with them. Like, you can respectfully disagree and move on.
Yeah, which I don't know. It's easier said than done, especially when emotions get involved. But yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I don't think it is easier said than done. We are now an emotional country. I really do believe it's a matriarchy, not a patriarchy. And there is certain roles that men play better than women. Men are better leaders. Women are supposed to be more nurturing and more family oriented, and that is perfectly fine.
I don't agree with that personally, but
Why don't you agree with it?
I mean, there might be more women in power than there was in the past, but I still think overall, mostly men are in important roles when it comes to business and politics.
It's coming down to hiring people of important ethnic group or sexes. It is not hiring people who is good for the job. And I really believe that it is a more matriarchy than patriarchy, because it's like the feminism thing from, what was it, after the Civil War, or World War II, not Civil War, which was 1940s. Was that World War II or later on? 45 is when it ended, 46.
Yeah, I think.
And so I think it's that continuing on and pushing up more and more. And so there's ways of doing this where you can all say we're equal, or we can keep pushing and overcorrect ourselves. So, and I think it's overcorrecting where women are higher than how men were, and it's not saying we're all equal.
Yeah, I definitely believe in equality. I don't think that there's anything wrong with women being in positions of power.
I don't think so either,
I
if
think
it's the right person for the job.
No, of course, yeah. It should just
I
be.
think they're just hiring people of certain sexes or ethnic groups because they're like, oh, this is going to make us look better.
But I don't necessarily want to like say that they're not doing a good job because
I think it's more
they're
emotional.
they're a woman. I think like
It's more emotionally driven now.
They're
Like,
just
the
not-
news is more emotionally driven. They're putting everyone on high stakes and making everyone super emotional. This is why men, I think, are better at stoicism, where they express more rational feelings and things out there.
I don't really think it's a man or woman issue. I think it's just an education issue and a cultural issue of poor communication. You
It's
know
not
what
a
I'm saying?
man or woman issue. It's a propaganda and hiring the wrong people for the job.
I agree, but I wouldn't necessarily say that we're in more of a matriarch than a patriarch when it comes to important roles. I just think we just have bad leaders in general. I wouldn't try to, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? portray the issue that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I would just portray it as we have more bad leaders in general.
yeah, I think it's a matriarchy. That's just what I believe. I've watched videos on it, and just seeing from my own surroundings, I can tell that it's a matriarchy. So if you don't believe that, that's fine. But we live in a matriarchy. I don't think we do live in a patriarchy anymore. We're even lowering our standards for people in the army. We need strong people in the army, especially right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Everyone wants to go for the underdog, and that's why we live in a matriarchy. Because women tend to be more nurturing and go for the underdog, and that is exactly what the country is doing. They're not making anyone stronger or better or showing rational decisions, which women do need certain parts. They are a lot better at men than certain things, yes. But it's coming down to like oh, so you're probably gonna make people upset, like the Karens that are talking about how certain ethnic groups or women are struggling when it's not true, and they're doing perfectly fine in their own life. So it's like, if you aren't experiencing this, then why are you pushing this propaganda out there or seeing it?
Well, I think a lot of people's perception is the reality, so they probably really feel that way and really think they're
Yes,
being
but
oppressed
feelings
that way.
aren't rational all the time, and that's
No,
why I'm saying we live in a matriarchy.
I agree that feelings aren't rational a lot of the time, and I feel like we've been making a lot of emotional based decisions, but I don't know if that's necessarily because we have more women in positions of power. I think leaders are trying to emotionally charge us with propaganda to confuse us, to make it harder for us to make heads or tails of things so we can be manipulated easier. And I don't think that has anything to do with women. I just think that has to do with bad leaders. Like our leaders are just being corrupt and trying to confuse us. And
Keith, I'm not saying all women, and this is where you're mixing it up, though. You're thinking I'm saying all women are like this. I'm saying we are hiring the wrong people, which tend to be women or different ethnic groups in these places, because we're not hiring the right people for
I
the
don't think
job.
you're saying that. I don't think you're saying that at all. I think what I'm trying to say is, like, I don't think it's necessarily a woman issue, or it's a
I'm saying
result
the
of
same
their
thing.
I don't think it's
Yes.
a result of
It's a matriarchy,
but I
though.
don't think it's a result of there being more women in power. I just think it's a tactic that they're using to confuse us in general by pushing more emotionally based content to confuse us.
Yes, and those women are in power, like the news channels and stuff, which tend to push more emotional stuff out there.
Well, that's where we disagree. Is you think it's the women that are pushing it. I just think it's leaders in general that are pushing that stuff, not necessarily women. I don't think it's a majority coming from women.
Listen, dude, I don't think it's bad to push emotional stuff out there all the time. There's needs to be stuff that is pushed out there. But when it comes to only being emotional charges and stuff pushed out there, that's a problem.
Yeah, of course it is. I mean, it can be productive to motivate people to, like, vote or to enlist, or it can be good to motivate you to work harder. Like, there is, I mean, good leaders have high emotional intelligence, so there is a time and a place to be emotional. I mean, that's part of what makes being a human so awesome, is having emotions.
I don't think any leader should make any emotional decisions, dude. I really don't.
I never said that.
I don't think you should. I think a leader should be way more rational and not make any decisions based off of emotion.
No, I never said that, but I said it's important for leaders to have emotional intelligence so they know how to motivate people to do things that are hard.
Yeah, more charisma. Yeah, any leader is going to have charisma. Yeah.
I just, yeah, I think our emotions are being used against us in the form of confusing us with all kinds of crazy, outlandish stuff in the news and media to make it hard for us to know how to feel, or they draw our attention to lesser issues and they make them seem bigger, so we don't pay as much attention to the important stuff, which is scary because it's hard to even know what to focus on in general right now when it comes to like current events and how it affects our rights as citizens.
I think there is a lot of good women leaders. I think there are some women that uh, push good educational stuff out there and do show that like you should exercise and keep doing this. I also think there is a lot of emotional leaders out there that push a lot of stuff that's just damaging and isn't doing anything good but damaging.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting for sure. I don't really know how we fix it, to be honest with you.
You hire the right person for the job.
That's true. But I mean, I guess like
It shouldn't be based off ethnicity or
I guess you would have to change the
sex.
Well, like you just said, rather than focusing on ethnicity and sex, you just focus more on
Who
the
is the best
resume
person that can I
the,
can hire?
the resume and the performance, you know, just be
Exactly.
creating a more equal screening process for potential candidates in different fields, you know, rather than just trying to put somebody in a position of power to have a quote unquote more equality as far as demographics go in different fields.
When we lived in a patriarchy,
And I don't think it's bad if there's more of a sex or race in a certain field. It just,
it's the right person for the job.
It just shows that they're more capable and they're more motivated for whatever
Yes.
reason to be successful in that particular area of study.
And there are certain cultures that are better at other ones. And a
At
lot of
certain
people
things,
aren't
yes.
going
Yeah.
to want to hear that, but there are. Yes, there are certain races that are in certain positions because their cultures are better than other cultures because they were raised differently.
Yeah. And that's like, I think we should strive for people that aren't as successful in certain areas to
Build them up.
educate them to be
Yeah.
capable of one day maybe being able to do whatever job you want to say well. But they need to earn it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, you
Like,
can't just be
you
handed
need, you
it.
need to be capable. Like,
Yeah.
but that just comes down to like just easier access to education and stuff, and and then you know trying to change cultures to value certain things more. But that's interesting because you know in order to change somebody's values, you do kind of have to some extent play on their emotions. I mean, at the end of the day, all decisions are emotionally based. So I mean,
But
emotions
they
are
always shouldn't be. And this is what I'm saying.
They're definitely
Our country
important.
was founded off of a patriarchy. Strong, independent, calloused mind men. And they made the country into what it was today. Now, was everything in the past right? No. Everyone learns. But we have to move on from the past and look at today now.
I don't
What
think we
is
would.
it?
I don't think we would necessarily be better off in a patriarchy either. I don't even honestly really like the term patriarchy or matriarchy. I think we just need strong leaders in general, regardless of
Well,
what
yes,
their
if it
sex
ends
is.
up being a matriarchy with strong leaders, sure. But what character traits do most men have? They are great leaders, emotionally intelligent, that are rational, and they lead their families. Most people in the family, in a traditional family,
At least in
with the-
American culture.
yeah, in all cultures, Keith.
No, in a lot of Asian and African cultures, the women tend to be more or less the head of the household.
I don't believe that's true at all. And especially in African culture, a lot of the men tend to be the leaders of the household.
I mean,
Asian
it
culture,
depends on the country because
even in
Africa is a
Asian
huge
culture,
continent. But
in traditional households in Chinese and Japanese, women were stay-at-home moms. And that's how it most of the time it was. Women were more nurturing and the men were leaders and going to work.
in general, most countries, the man is the head of the household. I guess
Yes,
it's
because men are better at being leaders, and this is just built in our DNA. This isn't saying that women aren't bad at certain stuff Women are good at a lot of things. They are the more nurturing and loving person in the household, and that is amazing.
I guess it's just confusing because it's like you want to push for equality, right? But I think with us trying so hard to push for equality, we've kind of lost sight or had to redefine what gender roles are important, and I think we're still working on that.
I don't think we are at all. It's not confusing. You're overcomplicating it. It's built in our DNA, Keith.
Well, there's
the way
like
that men and women are. And yes, men are going to be better at certain stuff than women. We are more athletic, we are more violent, and we are better leaders.
I think in general, yes, and that definitely tends to be true. But I guess now we have equal opportunity, both men and women, to be both. It just kind of, I mean,
But look how that is turning out because of it.
You might
People
be,
don't want to believe in the more traditional values. It's creating an own definition that is just not right, and it's wrong. Like, you're just pushing out propaganda. Like, yes, men and women are better at different things than each other. We are equal, yes, we are humans, but there's going to be different stuff that we're better at.
yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, I mean, it makes perfect sense. I mean, I don't know. I guess, yeah, we all have equal opportunity, and if
Even saying this without the word woman or women. Comparing to you and me, you're going to be better at stuff than I am, and I'm going to be better at stuff than you are.
yeah,
That's just how the world is.
I agree.
Not everything is going to be fair. Yes, you're going to hire the better person for the job.
Yeah,
People are better at stuff than other people. Yes, we all have equal opportunities. And I'm going to say that again, equal opportunity. It does not mean we are all equal in the same way, as in we can both do the same job right. Because we're going to do the same job differently. You're
yeah.
going to do a job differently than I'm going to do a job sometimes.
Yeah, I'm trying to think where I was going to go with this, or what I'm trying to say. I would say we should have equal opportunity. I don't know if we always.
Absolutely.
I don't know if we always do, but we definitely should.
We always do. Especially in nowadays and age, everyone has an equal opportunity. I think we have shown more than enough that everyone is equal. It's just overcorrecting itself. Like I said, no one is showing that everyone is equal. It's overcorrecting itself, saying that
Well, I think the
people can do
overcorrection-
anything, and that's just not true. People are equal in opportunity, yes, but we are not all equal the same way. God created us all different.
I think based on what you just said, it's a little bit paradoxical because
How?
if you are overcorrecting for equal opportunity, and let's say like you do a diversity hire even though they're not as capable, but you're just trying to check that box, that's not an example of equal opportunity, because if it was,
Exactly.
then the
That's what
person-
I'm saying.
No, but
It's
the point,
not the same anymore.
yeah, I mean, I think you agree with me and I agree with you, but what I'm trying to say is like there's not always equal opportunity, and that's an example of not having equal opportunity, is like
Because it's overcorrecting.
the
itself.
overcorrection.
Okay, yeah. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
Yes.
But even with besides that point, like the
Uh-huh.
overcorrect, there's examples of there not being equal opportunity
Correct.
without overcorrection, and like in certain areas things do need to be corrected and made more equal. Like not everybody has equal access to education, which is drastically.
Absolutely everyone does now, especially since it's overcorrected.
Well, no,
I think-
certain states don't educate students as well. I mean, you're going to get a better education in general if you go to a private school than a
Well,
public school. That's based on your income level. You know what I'm saying? Like, so have people in and throughout history overcame extreme adversity? Are there anomalies? Yes. And they've like, say you're poor and, you
Yes,
know,
but we have certain programs out there for those people. I think it has overcorrected enough, especially for different ethnic groups or people that are more poor, to be able to go to a good education if they really wanted to.
I agree that
and you have to
there's-
show that in school, like I said. Like, yes, you have the equal opportunity to go to a school like I do, but you're going to have to put in the work to do that.
No, I agree.
We all have the same equal opportunity, yeah.
I agree that there are programs for people that don't have as much access and stuff, but I definitely think that like some of those programs need to be funded more so they have more opportunity.
I don't think that's true at all. We give out so much money for education, it's crazy. Like at this point, we're just giving away money. It's wild.
I think we should spend more money on education and less money funding proxy wars, like, in my opinion. Are there more people that are college educated than ever?
Yes.
Yes, that is a true statement. But I think that education isn't as vigorous as it once was.
Because people are picking different degrees. They're picking the wrong degrees to go to school for, and they don't have the right motives going into it.
And I agree
And that
with you
is
on
not a reflection of our education. That's a reflection of the own person picking that degree, though.
I
We all
agree.
have equal opportunity, like I said.
No, I agree, which I think is like at the moment, based on our current economy, especially if you want to be financially successful, trade jobs are in a lot more demand. And if you want to be wealthy or have a better opportunity to be wealthy, you're probably better off going to trade school at the moment because it's a lot of college degrees, like they're oversaturated and there's too many people in those roles to where like
Because those people are picking dumb degrees, though. That's why.
but I think it's because like in the past college was less accessible and more expensive, so there
I think
tended
it's
to
more expensive now, and it's absolutely more. In the past, I think it was less expensive, less accessible. Right now, more expensive,
more accessible. I agree
Yes.
with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think people don't realize that it's going to be more expensive, and in the past, like people wanted to go to college because at the time it created more opportunity for future financial success. But I think we're just now starting to recognize like, oh shit, this isn't necessarily going to guarantee financial success because our economy has shifted as far as demand goes for different types of workers, and now we're trying to correct that, you know, which that's just like, I think that's natural.
True statement. Yeah, economy has shifted where we need more people. That
I mean,
work
the
in
demand of
trades.
like
But
different
I still
workers
think
is always
people
going to
are
change. And
going
it's hard to like know where that's going to head, you know.
Yeah, like I was saying, true statement. Yes, the economy has shifted. We need more tradespeople, but people are still picking the wrong degrees, and people have to realize that is what you're going to school for, and you should already know that going into school. What am I doing with my degree? Like, you had 4 years to think this out, going to college before high school.
Well, I don't think a lot of people think before they go to college because they're just told it's going to make you successful, and then they just choose something because they want to party and stuff. And I think our values culturally are not always where they need to be. Like, education should be one to make you more intelligent and capable, not just so you can.
Well, the education is there if you want to be. See, people aren't utilizing the education.
No,
Our education is there,
I
and you
agree with
can
that.
get smarter. But people aren't utilizing it because they just think, oh, if I just show up and do this. No, you are still going to have to put in the work. It is like a job.
Yeah, people don't want to work as hard. They just want
They
to.
think if I just show up and do whatever, get through college, I'll have my money. It's going to be there.
Yeah, that's not necessarily how it goes,
Uh-huh.
which is not a good thing.
Yeah. On your behalf, I do think in especially public schools, they push the propaganda that you will be successful no matter what if you go to college, which
Because it's a business, you know.
right, they have colleges that want them and they're getting money and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're going to do whatever is going to make your business model the most successful, even if it's, a lot of the time, even if it's unethical.
All right, I got to go to work. I have an appointment. But
All right, bro.
I think that was a really good conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching.